Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. So this lesson here, since I received it, it does seem like it's kind of correcting the brothers a lot more, which is needed. So, hey, it's from the elders. Take it like men. All right. So the title again is Self-Sufficient Life.
All right, this is from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
Now, we've heard this scripture several times since coming in the truth. Read.
And a gift destroyeth the heart.
So, being in this oppression, in captivity, going through the curses, what Amalek and son has really learned how to give us these worthless gifts to keep us like kind of passive, to kind of just keep us docile and not, looking spiritually to what is actually going on. So we're going to go to Lamentations 4 and 17. I'm going to get these scriptures in to kind of lead to the lesson. See, when you're in captivity, you get to where you don't want to fight anymore. You just want to, hang in there, especially if you don't know the truth. You don't know what's going on or what's to come. You kind of lose that, you may have faith, but you're tired of getting beat up on. So you just kind of tend to go with the flow. Go ahead, bro.
This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
Right, so they offer vain help. It's not realistic help to get us out of this situation. And this is a biblical situation that we're in, that we have to get ourselves corrected and understand we're in a spiritual war. And we must stop thinking carnally. The brother brought out last night, Brother Zion. So let's pray.
We're reading out of the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
Right, so we have grown dependent of the other nations. Those ones that got together and agreed upon destroying us in the book of Psalms chapter 83. They have gathered together to appease us and to let us lie dormant and just die off. But as we know, coming into this truth, just like the choir song, we're going to reign with Christ. So we must learn how to operate in this world to tear off this carnal flesh and gather a spiritual coat. Con? So let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 15.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10, verse 17. Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the...
10 and 15, Salaki.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10, verse 15. The labor of the foolish weareth every one of them.
Right, so the foolish, when he labors, it wearieth him. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to sow to the seed. He doesn't want to do what he has to do to even nourish himself. And this type of individual won't be able to exist in the kingdom to come because he doesn't want to work. Christ worked. All the prophets, they worked. We have to work. You can't have a lazy spirit. We have to be willing to do the work. So let's read the commentary from the elders for self-sufficient life.
Self-sufficient life. There are many in the current generation that don't aspire to work hard. This has been a media-driven indoctrination in which we are taught to rely on others to survive, like our governments. This causes an attitude of entitlement and often a spoiled type of individual.
Right, so you get to depending on some of the things that they gave us from, Section 8 to the link cards, all this stuff that they give us to kind of, appease us and keep us docile and not want to work and know how to get these things on your own and know how to persevere and go through things without relying on a nation that killed your Savior. You got to understand that when they look at us, they see the Savior. The Rothschilds, Trump, and all the higher-ups know who the children of Israel are. So whatever they have to do to get us in this state where we're docile and we're not worrying about spiritual things, that's the whole point. That's the whole point in them doing what they're doing. With vaccinations and all this wicked stuff, that we have to have a spiritual hedge over us to get past this. Brother Zion did a lesson last night. We were, a great lesson, and we were talking about the giants. That they're here, and they're going to be made known. So, there's no fighting them. You have to have that spiritual edge over you. And we all, and remember the Most High got the Leviathan, the Behemoth, that come and just wipe them out when he want them to anyway. So, let's just continue to, better ourselves and think spiritually. Keep going. Oh, we're going to go to Proverbs 6 and 6. Keep going, bro.
This causes an attitude of entitlement and often a spoiled type of individual. In the truth, we must learn to overcome such traits and work hard. Whether in following the Most High or in our everyday goings, we must take care to not be lazy.
So we have to be diligent and not be lazy. Don't let that spirit come over you. Proverbs 6, verse 6.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, starting at verse 6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise.
All right, so anybody ever watch ants work? They diligent. Mission. They just own a mission. And they don't have to have anybody looking over them. Keep going.
Verse 7. Which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provided her meat in the summer and gathered her food in the harvest.
So they work hard and get all their food together in the summer. And they get it prepared and ready to go in harvest season. Because circumstances are different in the winter. So imagine having to get everything stored up for the winter. Not imagine not being able to go to the grocery store. You got it all stored up and ready to go. That's preparation. That's why he said, consider the ant. And when things to come, we're not going to be able to go to grocery stores. So we're going to have stuff stored up. So we think about this little ant, and they're persistent. We have to consider how they operate. Keep going.
Verse 9. Oh, how long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep?
So you get certain people that will sleep all day. All day. Just want to lay down and just have that spirit upon them. And it's a spirit that makes you just want to lay in that bed all day, not be productive. You just want to lay there, fall asleep, take cat naps all day. And that's not the way to operate. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep.
Right. Just a little sleep. That's all we need to carry on and continue to do what we're supposed to do. We should always be preparing. It's always something to get together. Especially since during the Sabbath, we have to operate in a Sabbath state. We're not supposed to cook and do all these things that we can do during the week. So it's always something that we can be preparing to do for the Sabbath. Go ahead.
Verse 11. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth.
So those that sleep all day and not want to be productive and knowing that they actually have to work to eat. You actually have to sow a seed in this world to get finances to be able to operate. It says, go read it again.
So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth.
Right, so poverty is coming. Read.
And thy want as an armed man.
So poverty is coming to you, going to find that sleeping sluggard person like an armed man, like a robber. You're not going to be able to escape it if you don't sow a seed and work. It's going to come at you like an armed man. And what they say in the world, oh man, he caught me sleeping. Caught me sleeping. You right. You slept. We have work to do. We can't just hear a beautiful song like we just heard and just say, okay, well, I can't wait. We got to put in work. We have to get better. Praise the Most High for my brothers and sisters. When I first got here, there's certain things I didn't know, and they told me. So we all have to work. And all have to get better. Keep going, bro. Read the commentary for me.
Even nature shows us that it is important to work hard. Always find something to do constructive, as it will keep you from being idle, where Satan can come in and cause wicked thoughts and actions.
Right, so that idle mind, we're going to go to Proverbs 10 and 26. That idle mind is the devil's workshop, they say. That's the saying we've been hearing since we were little. That you have to keep yourself busy. And it's okay to have many tasks in the church. It's okay. So you can make sure your mind is not idle, thinking about stuff we have no business thinking about. We should be thinking about the future towards Christ. But it's so funny how when you go to thinking idly, for some reason your mind go in the past, thinking about nonsense. Thinking about stuff that had us away from Christ. Go ahead, bro.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 26. As vinegar to the teeth, and as smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him.
So, I don't want to do it. So whoever knows someone that's, got that spirit on this sluggard spirit, and you have to send them to do something for you. Yeah, it wearies your soul knowing that you have to send them. So you what you do is you call yourself giving them all the instructions needed. You call yourself making it fail-proof. Yeah. But it grieves your soul to send that person. And I have no business laughing because I used to be that guy. And praise the Most High that, I had a daughter that woke me up. That, I decided, I got to take it serious. So it grieves your soul to have to send that person to take care of business for you. Go ahead. So let's read the narrative from the elders.
There is nothing worse than entrusting a lazy person to do a job. It is like a burning to the eyes. Don't be that person who nobody wants to help. For instance, maybe you are looking for a job, but someone doesn't want to help you because they know you will misrepresent them based on your poor work ethics.
Think about that. We all love each other and we want to, help each other. But what they say, we don't want to do something that's going to get those bridges burned. So you send somebody that is not going to do what they're supposed to do. You got that bridges burned. You can't go to that option again because you sent them someone that you was trying to help, and they didn't do what they're supposed to do because they have that spirit on them. We're going to go to Proverbs 13, but they have that spirit on them that you just can't trust and rely on. Keep going, bro.
Sometimes people avoid asking someone to do things based off the fact that they can't rely on the person to not try to cut corners on a job.
Right. To try to cut corners. You could show them the way how to do it. And this happens a lot with your kids. Well, why don't you do it this way, Dad? Because I'm 40 years old. I've been doing it a lot longer. So we have to teach the kids, just do as I say. And sometimes you might have to just whack them on the shoulder or something. I've been doing this. Con? Okay, Proverbs 13 and 4. What you do?
The book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 4. The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat.
So the sluggard wants all the things he imagined, but doesn't want to work and get them. Think about that. How can you not work to get it? You have to be able to work to get it. We're in captivity. You have to work to get what you think you want and you think you deserve. Read that again.
Verse 4. The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat.
So the soul of the diligent, he's going to gather stuff. He's going to get the things that he wants. Because he's diligent and he's persistent on getting the things that he wants. And he doesn't sleep in a bed all day. Sleeping 15 hours a day. $15, 16 hours a day, you laying around, sleep, catnapping all day. And you're going to get things, you're going to get treasures. But see, what you don't realize is that's a plant. That's a plant of Amalek. And then they sent our men out there to rap about robbing, to make us go out and rob. They sent them to rap about breaking laws. So it make us, okay, that's how I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna rob somebody that actually was diligent to do what they're supposed to do. And a lot of men and sisters have tried those diligent workers, and they're diligent about protecting themselves, and they end up dead. Trying to rob somebody that you had no business because you don't want to work. So this is something we have to correct. Keep going. So let's go to Proverbs 20 and 4. Let's talk about the sluggard some more. Proverbs 20 and 4.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 20, verse 4. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. Therefore shall he beg and harvest.
So because it's cold outside, dude, do you live in Chicago? He doesn't want to work. But he'll rather beg in the cold. Think about that. Don't want to work in the cold, but he'll rather beg in the cold. Doesn't even make sense. Let's get the commentary.
If you do nothing, don't expect to have anything. Be ready to work in any season. That comes for following the Most High as well.
Right, so we have to be ready to always be priest and be ready to give this word to our people. Even when it's grievous to us, even when somebody got a scowl over their face. Let's get Ecclesiastes 11 and 4. You have to be ready to always preach this word. Since we know why our people are in this situation.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verse 4. He that observeth the wind shall not sow.
So he's looking at everything from the wind to everything so he can find an excuse not to sow. Go ahead.
And he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. Verse 5. As thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit.
Wait a minute. You know what? You know how many times we got ready to street preach and it was dark out, clouds. I mean, it looked like it was about to have a horrendous storm. But by the time we got to that site where we was going to street preach, it was clear. So we had that spirit on us to just say, oh, it looks like it's ground, and let's just, close it up and leave. We wouldn't have been able to be out there and preach the word. The Most High make things happen. So you have to have that spirit that I'm going to work no matter what. Keep going. Start at 5 again.
Verse 5. As thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit.
So you don't know the way of the Spirit. So when we out there in the world, so this is segueing to the diligent also that's supposed to be priest. We don't know which way the Holy Spirit go. We don't know who's her children. So they may look unpresentable. They may look some type of way because they don't know the truth. They have been just beat up by life. And I know I was beat up by life. So we can't decide on our own who his lost sheep are. So we have to be in season, out of season. We have to always be ready to preach the word and not judge our people. Because it's cold outside, I just want to run the car, but you know, if somebody's asking you, this is what I use. If somebody's asking me for money, you better believe they're gonna hear what her higher name is. They owe me that much. So if I gotta bring out his name that way, I'll do it. Go ahead.
As thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child.
Right. No one knows that. No one. That's all done by the Most High, the Holy, and the Holy Spirit. Go ahead.
Even so, thou knowest not the works of Ahiah who maketh all.
Time.
Verse 6. In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thy hand. For thou knowest not whether shall prosper, either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. True.
So let's get 2 Timothy 4:2. So we have to, watch out for really prejudging our people out in the world. Always be ready to, give the word if possible. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2.
This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2. Preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering.
So when you reprove people, your brothers and sisters, and rebuke them, you have to consider yourself when you're doing this. You have to make sure you're doing it in a respectful way. Even if it can be off as possible, you still have to consider that you could be in that situation. Keep going.
Exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust they shall heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth.
Right, so in this truth, a lot of us we came into the truth online. So it's kind of natural for us to just click on videos. So sometimes you will click on a video and you got a brother or sister that's, real articulate, and they can really break down the doctrine they're teaching. But is it beneficial? Is it worth leaving the spiritually guided church that you're already in for one little doctrine? And we tell ourselves, well, the truth is the truth. Well, if you take it to the deacons and the elders, and they say, well, it's not time, or whatever they say to you that to explain to you why they are not going to bring that doctrine into the church, you have to respectfully just walk away. Not from the church, but walk away from that doctrine. And if it's actually the truth, it'll come out. But it's a lot of brothers and sisters that have left because of one doctrine, which make you think it's something else that they was offended by probably in the past. To let that one little thing, which they say, make them run. That they're so offended that they have a hatred towards the elders. We can't operate like that. You're going to click on something. You're going to get intelligent people speaking and talking and bringing out something that they may give you understanding on. But if is it fruitful? That's the question. Is it going to get you into the kingdom so you can reign with Christ? Is it beneficial to you? And a lot of this stuff is not. A lot of this stuff would be minuscule stuff. The latest one, what Israel was in Illinois. Yeah. That's a doctrine. That has, taken brothers and sisters. You got something you want to say on that? Okay, let's get back to scripture.
Verse 4, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables. Verse 5, but watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry.
So, we have to make full proof of our ministry. And it says, read again, start at 5 again.
Verse 5, but watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry.
Right, so make full proof of your ministry. Make your election sure. Make it easy for Christ to say, he belong with me. Make it easy. Make your election sure. Keep going. Read the commentary, Salaki.
So we should be ready at all times to speak the truth to people, but this same drive must transfer to other work that needs to be done.
Right. So we're going to go to Proverbs 26, verse 13. So we have to be diligent in all areas of our life. Yes, you can have somebody that's diligent, their home is kept, but you have to be diligent in all areas. You have to be diligent here, have to be diligent, when, you're operating with your kids, that, you have to be diligent in all works. All works. And it's a work. Why you think Adam needed to help me? It's a work. Proverbs 26 and 13.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 26, starting at verse 13. The slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way.
Right, so he got some big story, big excuse on why he can't do what he's supposed to do. Read it again.
The slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way. A lion is in the streets.
So he can't do what he's supposed to do. So he's going to make up some astronomical story on why he can't do what he's supposed to do. Read.
Verse 14. As the door turneth upon his hinges, so doeth the slothful upon his bed.
So what do door hinges do? All they do is turn. So the slugger just turning in bed all day. All day. Just like door hinges. The Most High got a sense of humor. Like door hinges. Read.
Verse 15. The slothful hideth his hand in his bosom. It grieveth him to bring it again to his mouth.
So he got his arms crossed with his hands under his armpits, and it grieveth him to bring it to his mouth to feed himself. That's lazy. Read.
Verse 16. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit. The seven men that can render a reason.
Wow. So this man got, the sluggard, he got more excuses than 7 men. Think about that. More excuses than 7 men. Let's get Sirach, the book of Sirach. Sirach 29:2. And my brother gonna read the narrative while you're getting that.
Those who are lazy look to make excuses as to why they can't do something, even to the point of lying.
Right, there's a lion out there. Go ahead.
These same individuals have a distortion of reality, where they believe that they are smarter than those who work hard at anything and lie to themselves as a result.
Right. And that's why the poverty, it pursues them. It's going to catch them. Sirach 29:2.
The book of Sirach, chapter 29, starting at verse 2. Lend to thy neighbor in time of his need, and pay thou thy neighbor again in due season.
Right. So this is another topic, the elders, this is a great lesson that, you're going to have brothers and sisters, you come in the truth or you meet and you may be in a bad situation where you need help. It says repay what the oath that you made with that person, with that brother or that sister. You don't want to burn that bridge. You repay date and time. You get an agreement, and if that person or that brother or sister, out of the kindness of their heart, want to lend to you or lend whatever, doesn't have to necessarily be money. Whatever day that you made an agreement upon, you repay it. Go ahead.
Verse 3, keep thy word and deal faithfully with him, and thou shalt always find the thing that is necessary for thee.
Right, so they'll always have your back. Now you don't want to make it a regular thing, but you also can learn from that person. Why they not in that situation? Why they seem to make it week to week and bi-weekly or monthly? You have to be willing to learn. We have to be willing to humble ourselves. Keep going.
Verse 4, many, when a thing was lent them, reckon it to be found, and put them to trouble that helped them.
Right. So it's like he think he done made a come up. Not showing any appreciation on who blessed them with the come up. Read it again.
Verse 4, many, when a thing was lent them, reckon it to be found.
Reckon it to be found. Oh, I just found it. Go ahead.
And put them to trouble that helped them.
So how would he put them to trouble that helped them? Keep going.
Verse 5, till he has received, he will kiss a man's hand.
Right, so he'll do everything possible to get him to lend it or her to lend it. Kissing up to him. Doing everything possible. Read.
And for his neighbor's money, he will speak submissively.
So he speaking respectfully, soft words to get what he wants or she wants. Go ahead.
But when he should repay,
he
will prolong the time and return words of grief and complain of the time.
Right. Oh man, I don't have it. Some came up. There was a lion in the way. Some excuse. Right. Some excuse on why you can't repay it. And we all been there. And that's why we know this is not an outdated book. At all. Keep going.
Verse 6. If he prevail, he shall hardly receive the half. And
he barely get the half. Barely get half of what he's supposed to get. Go ahead.
If he prevail, he shall hardly receive the half, and he will count as if he had found it. If not, he hath deprived him of his money, and he hath gotten him an enemy without cause.
Right. So this is why a lot of brothers and sisters don't like to lend. Because that person decide they would rather burn that bridge and make an enemy. And many of people have been hurt in the world for doing this. Making an oath to someone to pay them their money, then they'd rather get into a fight, argue, so they're thinking that they won't have to repay it. But you get to a point where you be wanting your money because you don't know, that person don't know what you're going through. You know what they're doing? They counting somebody else's money. They're looking and seeing what you got. Oh, you don't need it. You counting somebody else's money. Read.
He payeth him with cursings and railings.
Now you want to curse. You the same one was kissing up to him, speaking soft words to him. Now you cursing at him because you don't want to pay the money. Just short-sighted thinking. It's not kingdom building. Keep going.
And for honor he will pay him disgrace.
So he gonna disgrace his name.
Verse 7. Many therefore have refused to lend for other men's ill dealing.
Right, that's what I was just saying. You get brothers and sisters that want to help someone, and because they may love that brother and sister so much and really want to help them because they experience an issue in the past with lending somebody the money, they don't want to ruin that friendship. They don't want to ruin it. So they won't lend. Because money have ruined a lot of friendships and brotherhood and sisterhood. So because they love that person so much, and that person may add something great to their life, must learn a lot from that person. And because they don't want to ruin that, they won't lend because of the experience in the past. That's what happens. Let's read the commentary. And we're going to go to Sirach 29 afterwards.
There is nothing worse than someone who is a freeloader or someone who borrows something with no real effort put forth to pay back that which they owe. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a person's character can hinder a person from receiving help in times of need due to their sluggard actions.
Right, so they have observed you operating, and just by, gotta steal a word from my brother always used to Isaiah, because of his gait, because of his appearance or her appearance, they don't just judging by the appearance and how you operate, they won't lend because they think it's a sluggard spirit over you. So they make that conscious decision not to lend. So we're going to go, we stood in Sirach 29, we're going to go down to verse 22.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 29, verse 22. Better is the life of a poor man in a mean cottage than delicate fare in another man's house.
Think about that. So you would rather be living in a shack, a one-bedroom shack with mice running all over the place, than to live in another man's house being waited on hand and feet. Read it again.
Verse 22. Better is the life of a poor man in a mean cottage than delicate fare in another man's house.
Go ahead.
Verse 23. Be it little or much, hold thee contented.
Right, be content with what you have, especially if you're working hard to get it. Go ahead.
That thou hear not the reproach of thy house. For it is a miserable life to go from house to house. For where thou art a stranger, thou darest not open thy mouth.
Right, but yet we don't realize, they made up, whole songs in the 70s called "Papa Was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he lay his head was his home." So they glorify that this man is going from house to house, no place to stay, treating women like they're not supposed to be treated. Wherever he lay his head is his home. There's nowhere to live. Go ahead.
Verse 25. Thou shalt entertain and feast and have no thanks. Moreover, thou shalt hear the words.
So somebody has entertained you in front of a feast, but you have no thanks. You're not thankful. Keep going.
Verse 26.
Go start again.
Verse 25.
Yeah, there you go.
Thou shalt entertain and feast and have no thanks. Moreover, thou shalt hear bitter words.
Right. But yeah, you're gonna, you're unthankful, saying bitter words. Verse 26.
Come, thou stranger, and furnish a table, and feed me of that thou hast ready. Give place, thou stranger, to an honorable man. My brother cometh to be lodged, and I have need of mine house.
Right. So a lot of people, a lot of brothers and sisters have sown good seeds in the world before they came to the truth, and a lot of them are well off. A lot of our people are well off, and they can offer things. But when you're one of those that receiving from them, don't make it grievous to them. Be thankful if whoever's, get where you stand with someone, and you eating and you just, you should be doing the dishes, especially if you're not working, you should be finding a way to not be grievous to that person. They shouldn't leave out in the morning, you on the couch, and then you come back, you in the same spot. But that's, half of the sandwich that you had made sitting there, with flies flying around. You didn't move. Well, he put his hand on his game. His game is hot because you've been playing the game all day. Come on.
Verse 28. These things are grievous to a man of understanding, the upbraiding of house room and reproaching of the lender.
Let's read the commentary. See, the grievous, the slothful make things grievous to those that lend. Makes them not want to lend. And really, like I said, they really can teach us something. If we, you got somebody and you see them well off, and you see that they're, not struggling, it's not to look, okay, what can I get out from them? What can I get out of them? Why not pick their brain and seeing what they're doing to, make it so you can get money stored up so we can get out of here. I don't think no one here that's doing that well wouldn't mind sharing helpful tips on how to, get your credit together, how to get things done so you can be in a position to move when it's needed. It's all about when the pride is there. It's kind of hard to, ask, someone something that's helpful to them, to you. You can't let the pride operate. Go ahead.
There are many in the truth still living at home with their parents. They will try to bring truth to their family, but don't so much as wash dishes without being told.
Come on, man. So if you're in your parents' house, and this is key, we're going to go to Sirach 40. This is key, that if you're in your parents' house and you want to possibly bring out the truth of them, what you have to do is you have to check out some of the testimonies with our brothers here. A lot of our brothers and sisters came into truth by watching their brother or their friend at the time walk. They saw a change in their friend's life, the way they were walking, the way they was operating. They saw their brother and sister actually leaving some of their sins alone. And they went to, what are you doing? What do you got going on? Then you have a chance then to bring out the truth, what you're into. Why I decided to, why that whoremongering spirit not there anymore. Why I'm not doing this, or why I'm not stealing, why I'm not doing that. So if you in your parents' house, it would behoove you to be cleaning up on a regular basis. You want to change their outlook of you so they can ask you that question that we all want to ask, and we have to be ready to answer it. But they have to see a change in us. They have to see that we're going to do what we're supposed to do. Once they see that we're not doing the things that we're doing in the past. When we walk in the door and they don't smell that whiff of that weed. Or hearing that window open because you done snuck somebody in the window. So we have to change our walk so they can be willing to ask us, okay, let me see it. I'll listen now. What you got? But they have to see that change. Go ahead.
There are many in the truth still living at home with their parents. Mm-hmm. They will try to bring truth to their family, but don't so much as wash dishes without being told. This also can be a hindrance from a person listening to the truth. Mm-hmm. A person should strive to have their own means to sustain, but when not possible, they should help in the home they are in, so not to look as a hypocrite to the other inhabitants.
Right. That's important for your parents to look at you in a spiritual light. A lot of us want our parents to get the truth, but we have to operate in the light. We have to operate in a way where they will listen. And they may not get it right away, but because of you changed your walk, they at least would hear it. All right. So Sirach chapter 40, verse 28.
This is verse 28. My son, lead not a beggar's life.
Lead not a beggar's life. And what some people do is they'll have a car and everything, and they'll drive their car to a certain location and walk to a gas station and just beg there all day. because it's a good spot for them. They'll beg there all day, and that's their life. Instead of actually working to accrue anything, that's their job, to go somewhere and beg all day. So it's sleep, and then they beg all day, the rest of the day. Sleep for 15 hours and beg the rest. We can't operate like that. We can't. We just cannot. And we have to teach our brothers and sisters that out there in the world that's operating that way, that it's a new day. That we have to get out of this Babylonian way of thinking. It's just time. It's time to get out of it. Go ahead.
My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg.
So it's better to die than to be a beggar. Go ahead.
Verse 29. The life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life.
So you depending on what somebody else got going on. So you've been depending on them. What if they lose their job? You're supposed to be able to have their back. You depending on somebody else, another man. You a man. And you depending on another man. Man, we can't operate like that. Keep going.
The life of him that dependeth on another man's table is not to be counted for a life. For he polluteth himself with other men's meat. But a wise man, well nurtured, will beware thereof. Begging is sweet in the mouth of the shameless.
Begging is sweet to the shameless. That's what the scripture's saying. Read.
But in his belly there shall burn a fire.
So can't no one, scripture say you cannot take fire into your bosom and not be burned. It's going to be fire to your belly. Mainly hunger pains. Because you don't want to work and do what you're supposed to do. So let's read the commentary of the elders.
Living off the hard work of another is not a life. Only fools can be comfortable freeloading off of someone else.
Wow. Let's get Proverbs 21. And see, us out there in this world doing what we're not supposed to do, you run into, I'm talking to you men. We run into the sisters out there, and they trying to make it in the world. And, you just showing them the outside presentation. They don't know what's going on. They don't know if you a sluggard, slothful spirit. They don't know. But yet they give you a chance. May get one that has their own. And they take you in thinking that maybe you'll see their hard work. And maybe you're gonna, add something to what's built already. Let's get Proverbs 21. And 9.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 21, verse 9.
Then we're going to go to Sirach 25. Go ahead.
It is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a white house.
Right. So let's get what made her a brawling woman. Let's get Sirach, chapter 25, verse 22.
This is the book of Sirach.
Hold on 1 second, bro. Sirach 25 and 22. This is what made her a brawling woman. Sirach 25 and 22.
Verse 22. And harlot shall be accounted as spittle.
No.
But a married woman.
Yeah, wait a minute, that's not right. Yeah, that's right. 25 and 22. Sirach 25 and 22.
Verse 22.
This is what made her a brawling woman in her own house. Go ahead.
A woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger.
What?
Is full of anger.
Full of anger. A woman is full of anger if she has to maintain her grown husband. Most couples that come together, they make an agreement. You take care of this, I take care of that. You take care of this, I'll take care of this. So, okay, things happen. You may lose your job. But if she coming home and you on a game, you coming home in a house messy, kids nose running, it's grievance to her. She should be able to see resumes, something. That's the brawling woman. Guess who made her? We did. All right, let's get to commentator. Let's do that. But we're gonna go to Genesis 30 and 17. Read the commentator while they go there, bro.
A man must find a means to contribute to the family structure.
Right. So if you gotta hustle or do whatever you gotta do, a righteous hustle. Let me say that. Righteous hustling. And don't be, I'm gonna say it, dumb and call any kind of exes that may can help you. They're not an option. Because now you got another problem. You got that from who? You got another problem. All right, let's go. Genesis 30 and 17. I think that's right. So what tribal brother and sister that's known for their working? It's a car. Yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm ahead here. Genesis 30 and 17.
Genesis chapter 30, verse 17. And the Most High hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob the fifth son.
Right, so this is Leah. And read.
Verse 18. And Leah said, the Most High hath given me my hire.
Have given me my hire. So this is going to be a trait of this particular son. That this particular son is going to be a workaholic. I praise the Most High that my first job, my running mate was Issachar. I'm looking at this dude like, really? Like, we do get 3 breaks. I mean, he worked. I mean, we in school changing light bulbs all over. This man, Issachar be rolling. So a 16-year-old man, young man, seeing this, that helped frame me. All praise to the Most High. And I still, every now and then talk to that brother, Joe Robles. That guy worked. Man. Read it again from the top 17. Just lock here, bro.
And the Most High hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bare Jacob the 5th son. And Leah said, the Most High hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar.
Issachar. So it's only fitting that we give the testament of Issachar.
Testament of Issachar, chapter 3, verses 1 through 8.
Does anybody actually have the book that they're trying to get? Everybody's pretty much on their phone. Do we pretty much have it yet? Did you find it yet? Just give them a little time to get it.
Testament of Issachar, chapter 3, verses 1 through 8, and chapter 4, verses 1 through 2. Chapter 3, verse 1. When therefore I grew up, my children, I walked in uprightness of heart, and I became a husbandman for my father and my brethren.
Right, so he worked hard for his fathers and his brothers. Go ahead.
And I brought in fruits from the field according to their season. And my father blessed me, for he saw that I walked in rectitude before him.
So he was obedient. Go ahead.
And I was not a busybody in my doings, nor envious and malicious against my neighbor. I never slandered anyone, nor did I censure the life of any man.
Go ahead.
Walking as I did in singleness of eye.
Right, so that singleness of eye, we read it multiple times. That's focused, the spiritual eye. Thinking solely on the task at hand. And this is what Issachar is great at. Focusing on a task. They thinking about their family. That's all that's important. And they won't be swayed to the right or the left. They're focused. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Therefore, when I was 35 years old, I took to myself a wife, for my labor wore away my strength.
So his labor, because he worked himself to the bone every day, took away some of his strength. Go ahead.
And I never thought upon pleasure with women.
So it took that desire away also. I told you, they work. They work. So he's saying it took that desire where he's not lusting for things that's not important. That's all. You get some people that agree to be married and understand that it's not going to be a lot of intimacy. They would rather just dwell amongst each other. Keep going.
But owing to my toil, sleep overcame me. Verse 6. And my father always rejoiced in my rectitude, because I offered through the priest to the Most High all fruits, then to my father also.
So he offered to the Most High, and he offered the next best to his father. That's respect. That's honor thy mother and thy father. That's how you do it. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And the Most High increased 10,000-fold his benefits in my hands.
Look at that. Do righteous things, the Most High take care of you. Go ahead.
And also Jacob, my father, knew that the Most High aided my singleness.
His singleness of thinking. He was just thinking of the task at hand and was not swayed by carnal thinking. Go ahead.
Verse 8. For on all the poor and oppressed I bestow the good things of the earth.
Right, so he gave alms. He helped the poor. Go ahead.
For on all the poor and oppressed I bestow the good things of the earth in the singleness of my heart. Chapter 4. And now hearken to me, my children, and walk in singleness of your heart.
So that's important. He continued to say in the singleness of heart. He was focused, righteously, laboring to help his family, and righteously focus. Go ahead.
And now hearken to me, my children, and walk in singleness of your heart. For I have seen in it all that is well pleasing to the Most High. The single-minded man coveteth not gold.
Right, so he wasn't thinking about useless treasures that rust. Go ahead.
He overreacheth not his neighbor. He longeth not after manifold dainties. He delighteth not in varied apparel.
Right, so he just needed the bare essentials to do what he had to do to go day to day and help his family. Go ahead.
Verse 3. He doth not desire to live a long life, but only waiteth for the will of the Most High.
That's Issachar. He waited on the will. He was single-minded when it came to helping his family and doing the work of the Father. Oh, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, just on the trace of Issachar, I know everybody here knows about or knows somewhat about the heating situation, but I want to know if anybody would guess the heater we have on there, who put it in? Who put it in? Who? Brother Yar. Now this brother, right, he works out in Michigan. So yesterday he came from work out in Michigan, came here from work, put this heater in, and he had to go home and then still take care of his parents. So this is true about the trait of Shashakar. So, all praise to the Most High, because that in itself, what the scriptures say explain exactly what our brothers and sisters do in Israel. So
we're going to go to Sirach, the book of Sirach, in the Apocrypha, chapter 27, verse 3, while my brother here reads the commentary.
Just like today, Issachar worked hard and didn't look to the other foolishness which could come through idleness. Issachar was blessed by the Father because of his desire to work hard and not become entangled in foolishness.
Right. So the idle thoughts, the idle thinking, when you have that spare time, you need to be in the scriptures. Because, this is our forefather telling us, the way to go. The idle mind is the devil's workshop. He preyed on that. He has a dossier on everyone that's in here. He know our weaknesses. So if he can get us thinking, have that idle time, he's going to pursue us and try to get us to operate in a carnal way. The book of Sirach, chapter 27, verse 3.
Verse 3. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Most High.
Right, see, that's important. We've read several scriptures where it said, fear the Most High and keep the commandments. It's a respect. And a lot of time when we, think about stuff and we want to, hide and do stuff away from the church, You don't be wanting your brothers and sisters to see, but man, guess who really see? The Most High and His Son see it. So if you operate, we have to get it to where we should be able to operate the same way around our brothers and sisters as we do in the world. And really, to be really prosperous and fruitful, your friends and the ones that you talk to on a regular basis should be the brothers and sisters in here. Because that conversation is not going to be fruitful on the phone or in person. The conversation is not spiritual. You know what I mean, right? It's not a spiritual conversation. They're talking about their life in the world. And they're probably doing things that we know that is not a righteous act. So when you get to when you're correcting them, they're gonna say, "Oh, you don't judge me, this and that." It should be, well, if you can't correct your friend, and they always crying and moaning, do it to the point where they won't call you no more then. Remember, we want to reign with Christ. That's the point. I love my, friends in the world also, but I have to do what I'm supposed to do. I did all that garbage. It wasn't fruitful. Thinking that it has to be more than this. Never satisfied. And to get the truth and finally that void is gone. So we have to remember how we were in the world, and we were on the path of destruction. And we have to remember that feeling when we came to the truth, when you knew that this was the truth, this was it. And remember and continue to store up treasures in heaven. Con? All right. So, verse 3.
Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Most High, his house shall soon be overthrown.
Right, so if you don't respect the Most High and do what you're supposed to do, your riches are short-lived. House, whatever, you have to do what we're supposed to do. Go ahead.
As when one sifteth with a sieve, the refuse remain. So the filth of man in his talk.
Right, so read that again.
Verse 4. As when one sifteth with a sieve, the refuse remaineth.
Right, so the filth in man. Who's going to be righteous? So the Most High sift for the righteous. Are we going to be ones that get grabbed? Are we having righteous conversations in the world, not just when we hear? Because when we operate in the world, it's filthy. We know the truth, so we can't operate one way here and then go out there and operate another way. We cannot go back to the vomit. We can't. Read the commentary, bro.
It's a constant evaluation of ourselves through the scriptures, even when it comes down to questions of whether we are sluggards in our everyday lives. Mm-hmm. When you make it a practice to be a sluggard, it will also translate into how you serve the Most High.
All right. This is the sisters part of the program. Where would a sister go to find a virtuous woman? I know everybody should know this. Where? Proverbs 31. Let's get Proverbs 31. That's a lot. They gotta do a lot to be a virtuous woman here. Everybody there? I had not one con from the virtuous women over here.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 31, starting at verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
She's worth more than rubies. I mean, we just talking about it earlier. Just think about it. Angels up there with the Most High was like, I'm out. And it wasn't just, it wasn't just their beauty. Those angels was watching how they were treating their husbands. And they left the father and got 200 men, 200 angels to agree. I'm out. I mean, just us thinking about it, like, who would leave a hire? They did. I'm out. They left the Most High. Let's go.
Verse 11. The heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil.
So why would he need any other woman? If he need another woman, that's him. That's on him. And the Father will take care of him. Go ahead.
She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands.
So she's sewing, making all kind of things. Go ahead.
She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens.
Wow. Everybody in the house sleep. I mean, you go to bed with your wife, you wake up in the morning, she done changed the whole living room around. The sectional and everything. Bathroom got a whole new different theme, color, and you went to bed with your wife. Next morning it's a whole new, they always working. It's the virtuous woman. Go ahead.
Verse 16. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard.
Right, okay now. This doesn't mean you can go off buying land without talking to your husbands now. You gotta agree with your husband. Go ahead.
Verse 17. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengthened her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night.
So it said, let's go back to 17. It says she girded her loins with strength. So she get prepared. She put strength on as a cloak. And I don't know if, I'm pretty sure you guys, the Maccabees, the mother, that her and her sons were getting killed. And it said that she put on, let's say the stomach of a man, the belly of a man. She had to gird herself up. That strength to operate on what was going to befall her. She knew what was going to happen. But she girded up. She put on that armor and took it. Our women are strong, fellas. Keep going.
Verse 19. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. Verse 20.
Who know what a distaff is? I did look it up. Age 64 and 18. You get that? Can you read that right quick? She laid her hands to the spindle, sewing, and her hands hold the staff. So it probably got something to do with the sewing machine. Age 64, 18.
This is H64, 18. Whirl of spindle, stick, district. Whirl of spindle, stick.
So it's probably has something to do with the sewing machine, yeah. Verse 20.
She stretches out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet.
So she's not afraid of the snow like the sluggard is. See a sister in knee-deep snow out there, walking, grocery shopping, with a sack of potatoes on her shoulder, working, doing what she got to do. Go ahead.
Verse 22. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple.
So what about tapestry? What's that tapestry? Who knows what that is? Go ahead, sis. Yes. Like a banner. That's why when I looked it up, it said artistic lettering. Yeah, the water sis. Start at 22 again.
Verse 22. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates.
Right, he's known in the gates because of the works that his wife helps him. She's a great helpmeet for him, so he can focus on the things he needs to focus on. Go ahead.
When he sitteth among the elders of the land.
So when he among the wise men. Go ahead.
She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant.
So she righteously hustling. Go ahead.
Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come.
So strength and honor is like one of her characteristics. She wears it like a clothing. Strength and honor. Go ahead.
Verse 27. She looketh well to the ways of her household.
So that's her main thinking is her household. You could be having a conversation with a sister and she working out something at home. Go ahead.
And eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children are
So she doesn't let herself have the idle mind, the idle thinking. Go ahead.
Verse 28. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also.
So her kids be like, we got the best mom ever. Because she takes care of them. And her husband, I got the best wife ever. Go ahead.
And he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all.
Read.
Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Most High, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates.
Right, so the works of our sisters being that virtuous woman, you would be praised in the gates, the kingdom to come. Let's get to commentary. And we're going to go to Salaki, my brother. Then we're going to go to Matthew 12, verse 25, while he reads the commentary.
A sister in the truth, just like the brothers, must be diligent and make sure they are doing their part in the house. In modern society, too many of our sisters have learned to be lazy in the housework but active in working for the other nations. We must hold to our righteous women of the scriptures as the model of what to do in our homes.
Right, so, they put, the women like Oprah, that I don't think she's married, right? They had the same Stedman dude I know been messing up since I was 2.
Yeah.
She can't get a husband. Maybe because, she has a way of thinking that she's in charge, or, far as to the point where a man can't operate in his space. But this is who they put up as, what you want to be like. Mary Jane and all those programs is to program our sisters to be, just independent and not, think about a helpmeet for them, a husband. Do, what the Most High want us to do. Go ahead.
The microwave instant food mentality has made for a generation of laziness, and oftentimes this translates into laziness in our diligence to uphold our families in strength. Living virtuously leaves no time for foolishness, but always finds time to do those things which build positivity.
And just think if the police come into your house and just take all your remote controls out of your house. It'd be a lot of programs just being watched. Won't be no turning to the stations because we've gotten familiar with that remote. Just the instant. Gotta have things at our fingertips. Try going a day without your phone, without your cell phone. Would you go into convulsions? We have to get prepared for the wilderness. Matt, are we done on that? Yeah, book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 25.
The book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 25. And Yeshua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand.
So we must be on one accord here in the church, at home, which, husband and wives, we have to be on one accord. Have to be. When you're not, the enemy comes in. So let's get the commentary, and we're going to go to the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 42.
As a body, we must understand this key point as well as members of a household. We must understand those spirits of being a sluggard can cause issues in the house and also in the body. Those issues of strife can eat away at the structure and ultimately destroy the person and also those around them. We must be on task to get things accomplished.
Right. Again, that sluggard spirit, it leads to destruction. You may think you're getting out, but you're not. The book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 42.
Verse 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come.
So we have to be diligent and watch, it's saying. Go ahead.
Verse 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up.
So that's the thing. If we know the hour when the Most High is coming, us being procrastinators and we'll just wait to that last hour and try to get ourselves together. But that's not going to work. we have to get prepared and ready now. This is a grace period. We have to get ourselves together and prepare to reign. Go ahead.
Verse 44. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh, who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season.
So those who's sown in the spiritual seeds, Christ is coming to reward. And just think about it. Couples, and dealing with your parents, life is short. It's really short, and it's not worth, you arguing, you're going back and forth, and it just never fails. Somebody says something that changes things. You're arguing back and forth, and somebody's going to say something, and it's like it's never the same. And then say something happened to that person, and you never get to, apologize. Life is short. We just have to continue to show our family Christ, so we can possibly get that opportunity to give them the understanding. Because this doctrine that's in the world, it's a worldly doctrine. We know that it's not in the book. It's not scriptural. Some of these doctrines they got. When you try to show them it's not in the scripture, most of the time they don't even want to look. So you're battling against a different, it's a spirit that we're battling against. It seemed logical to us. Okay, I read it here, I'm getting precepts to the same topic. This is what it is. But it's that spirit that's, they've been in the world, 50, 60, 70 years, and it's just a doctrine that's not in the book. And they're just going to continue, to operate how they operate unless the Most High open up them, unlock it, the understanding for them. But we have to realize that it's a spirit. I mean, it seemed logical. It's right there, and most of them be preachers, and they find a way to jump around what's there. It's just not ready for them to get that understanding yet. And we have to remember how we was. We were in the same doctrine. And praise the Most High, we were able to get, be unlocked for that, far as getting the understanding to be in a place where now, hopefully growing and getting, ready for the kingdom to come. Keep going, bro.
Verse 46. Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing.
Right. So you want the Yeshua to come while we're doing the work. Perfectly, preferably between, 2 and 5 on the Shabbat. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 47. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. And if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken.
Right, so because he became weary from well-doing, he want to break somebody else's spirit. Maybe he's been in the truth for 6 years, and he want to break the spirit of somebody that's been in the truth for 3. Because he has grown weary from waiting. Go ahead.
Verse 50. The Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites.
Man.
There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Suffering. Let's get, matter of fact, let's get Isaiah 66 and 22. It's going to be suffering in hell for him. Get a little glimpse of the new heaven. Everybody there? Okay. Go ahead.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 22. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Most High.
Okay.
So shall your seed and your name remain.
So your name is already there, and then you have to do things to get it blotted out. So your name is already written in the book of life. Con? Go ahead.
Verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Most High.
Go ahead.
And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me.
Right. So we're going to go on a Shabbat, a field trip, to look at the carcasses of what?
The carcasses of men that have transgressed against me, for their worms shall not die.
You can't die. It's not, you're not dying. This is why the Jehovah's Witness, that's off. They don't believe in hell. It's several scriptures saying that the worm will not die. Spirit won't die. You're made of your Father. You have an indestructible spirit. So the worm will not die out. Go ahead.
For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
Right. So we're going to go and see them. Suffer. So we have to do what we're supposed to do to get in this kingdom. We have to fight, persevere, get to know each other, learn from each other, and get into the kingdom. We have to be able to do that. We have to, bring in the Gentiles. We have to be a light. That's important. That's why a lot of us are here, because the other Israelite camps, treat the Gentiles so bad. But we can't be just satisfied with, we have to go to the other nations also. Because remember, Yeshua will separate on who's who. Because you can't just look by appearance and say, well, okay, you that, you this. Even though that's all we have to go by right now. But Yeshua is going to separate. He's going to tell you if you're from the tribe of Judah, Issachar, if you're a Gentile, if you're from Esau, or whoever. Ishmael, he knows. Okay, let's just read. Let's go, read the commentary. We're going to go to Romans 13 and 10 afterwards.
So being a good workman in the household is being compared to how ready and diligent you must be not to be a sluggard in the faith. Why? If you are not diligent in life responsibilities and are one to procrastinate, you will do the same in the truth.
Right. So, a lot of us get tasked, work to do in the church. And if you're a sluggard at home, probably is going to show here. And we have to be careful with that. We just got to want to be better. And if you see, if you look and you see a brother that's always working and always, might want to, okay, let me operate with him or her. Because, a lot of us, we still got that Babylonian, mask on us. You know, we got all those years in Babylon that is not even close to the years we have in the truth. So we have to, you know, get that off us and not be, you know, too prideful to ask for help. Go ahead.
Christ will reward the good servant who is on point and watching over the Father's affairs in great care when he returns. We must overcome our conditioning so that our spiritual walk does not suffer.
So let's get Romans chapter 13, verse 10. Now, this is the scriptures that all the Christians better go to. Say the law is done away with. All you got to do is just love your brother. You won't have to follow the commandments. I'm saying if you love your brother and do what you're supposed to do, you are fulfilling, you are following the law, statutes, and commandments. Go ahead.
This is the book of Romans chapter 13, starting at verse 10. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. And that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep.
So this is our famous street preaching scripture here. With not one day went by we didn't go to this scripture here. and it's an important scripture because it is time for us to wake up out of sleep. And it's time to, you know, put them alarm clocks, spiritual alarm clocks, and our brothers and sisters in the world and wake them up. But we have to be tactful on how we deliver it because they watching. We have to be tactful. Go ahead.
For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light.
That's those works of Babylon I was just talking about. Go ahead. Armor. So we got to put on the armor of the Most High. Verse 13.
Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and in drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness,
right? Not in
self-indulgence,
flirting. Go ahead.
Not in strife and
envying what somebody else had, which the slothful tend to do. Go ahead.
But put ye on the Lord Yeshua HaMashiach, and make not provisions for the flesh.
Man, say that again. That sounded good. But read that again. Put on who?
But put ye on the Lord Yeshua HaMashiach.
Mashiach, go ahead.
And make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof.
Right, let's not operate in the flesh. Let's read the commentary from the elders. And we're going to go to Proverbs chapter 19.
So change that spirit of a sluggard so that this translates into helping you to combat the lack of working on certain spiritual battles.
So let's we don't have much longer. We'll go to Proverbs chapter 19, verse 15.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 19, verse 15. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep.
I mean, are we getting it now? With the slothful spirit, how we can't have it? There's multiple scriptures. Start again, please.
Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger.
Go ahead. Let's read the commentary. And then we're going to go to 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 11.
That hunger is physical, but can also be spiritual if we are idle in our lives.
Right. So we have to sow in the flesh and sow spiritual. As far as, in the flesh, what I mean by that, and in the world, we have to still be able to operate in the world. We have to, be able to position ourselves to, make it to the wilderness.
This is 1 Timothy chapter 5, starting at verse 11. But the younger widows refuse. For when they have begun to wax wanton against Christ.
So this is Paul, right? Yeah, Paul telling the elders to refuse the young women as widows because they're going to begin to want a husband. Go ahead.
But the young widows refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanton against Christ, they will marry.
So, maybe, the husband die, and, at the time they may be feeling like they don't want to be with anybody else. They're not going to want for anybody else. But the Most High may get to where, He healed that brother or sister's heart, and they may want to remarry. So if you're not a certain age, Paul is telling the elders there not to allow the sister to be a widow in the church because they're not a certain age. Because the younger, what he's saying is they're going to eventually want to marry once their heart is healed. Go ahead. You got something?
Yeah, basically want to leave from serving Christ to because there's a difference in marriage, so you have obligation. That's what Paul always explains that, when you get married, you do have a carnal side because you have to please someone else outside of the Most High. So, widows who are a certain age, they've been married, they're looking to serve just Christ, not looking for a relationship again. So,
great, thanks, Dewala.
Verse 12, having damnation because they have cast off their first faith.
Just like what you explained. Go ahead.
Verse 13, and withal they learn to be idle.
That we go with the idle again. Being idle is not prosperous. We think, okay, well, I just want to get some rest. A little folding of the hand. You don't need that much sleep. You should be sleeping 15 hours a day. That's just, go ahead, read.
Verse 13, and withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house.
Right, so when you idle, this is what you end up doing. Go ahead.
And not only idle, but tattlers, also and busybodies.
Telling somebody else's business, and you become a busybody. That's what the idle mind. You're just letting Satan take it over. Go ahead.
Speaking things which they ought not.
Right, so you jumping all over the place, being a tattler, you speaking things that you shouldn't be speaking. Tattling somebody else's business. Go ahead.
Verse 14. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully.
Right.
Verse 15.
That's the virtuous woman. I mean, to keep up with all those verses, you don't have no time to be, you have to be diligent and not let the idle mind take over. You got to remember also that curse that the Father put on you in the beginning to make you worry beyond normal. So you really don't want to be in that idle mind of thinking because you're natural, you worry a lot. So you have to be careful. You really have to be careful. Okay, con sisters? All right, go ahead.
Verse 15. For some are already turned aside after Satan.
Yeah. All right, so let's read the commentary. That's the last group of scriptures here. We're going to go to Romans 6 and 5 through 8.
Idleness can cause opportunity for Satan to come in and tempt us into committing foolishness.
We're going to get the book of Romans chapter 6, verse 5. Romans 6 and 5. It's this body of Christ.
Romans, the book of Romans chapter 6, starting at verse 5. For if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection.
So we may have to, we're going to have to suffer. That's why shedding off this carnal man and woman is important. We have to become spiritual beings, as spiritual as possible. Go ahead.
Knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him, that the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should not serve sin. For he that is dead is freed from sin.
Right, so remember, Paul said he died daily. He had to kill that old man off every day. That decision that Adam and Eve made, we have it every day. Whenever the Most High decides to wake us up, we have that choice. Are we going to serve Satan? Or are we going to serve the flesh? That choice is every day that we have to make that choice. Every day. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Now, if we be dead with Christ.
So if that carnal mind, the carnal flesh is dead,
we believe that we shall also live with him.
We know we're going to live with him and reign with him. Con? All right, let's read the commentary.
Often our old self was one of procrastination and sluggard behavior. However, Christ was no sluggard.
Definitely. Go ahead.
We are to follow Christ's example and shun our former selves so that we can live with him in the kingdom. Shalom.
Shalom. All praise to the Father. So, any questions? Any questions? Oh, praise the Most High. Any lessons pertaining to? Any questions pertaining to the lessons? Let me make that clear. Any questions? Okay, see you, bro.
Shalom, family. So I'm finna read Sirach chapter 22, and it's regarding to the slothful man and how he's regarded.
22 and what, bro?
Verse 1. Verse 1 and 2.
Okay.
It's a slothful man is compared to a filthy stone, and everyone will hiss him out to his disgrace. A slothful man is compared to the filth of a dunghill. Every man that takes it up will shake his hand.
Man. Con, the water on that scripture, bro. Man.
Shalom.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to say on Proverbs 31, you skipped over verse 26.
I did?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, sisters.
25 to 27.
Let's get this. Proverbs 31, verse 20. So I skipped over. You know what? It's probably the printout there. Yeah. Proverbs 31.
Yeah, chapter 31, verse 26.
Right. How can I miss that? Wow.
And the verse states, she openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
Right. Kind. Just words of wisdom. Just, they just tend to make things better. You have a long day at work, and you just, in the world, and you just have to shun and put away things, and, to be able to hear, your sister or, your wife, those words of wisdom, just the calming effect that the sisters have. Kind. The water, bro. In verse 27 also, right?
No, you got it.
Okay. All right. The water, bro. Any other questions?
I got something to say. Pertaining to the scriptures you brought out. When we went to 1 Timothy chapter 5, we go up with a couple of scriptures. In verse 8 it says, But if any provide not for his home, especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. So I think that goes well, especially with, I'm saying, a man who don't do nothing for his own home or anything. It ain't the scripture that you skipped or anything. It was just when I went up on 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8.
5.
So that's the key scripture.
Verse 8.
Come on.
Read it again, bro. Talking to the mic.
First Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. But if any provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than the infidel.
Right, so you out here providing for useless things in your family at home, suffering, not eating, barely eating. You come home with a full stomach burping, and your family ain't ate. Go ahead. Oh, he's done with it. Okay. Any more questions? All right. So, do we have anybody new today? You're not new. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So we do have someone new. Okay, tell us who you are and who brought you here.
My name is Alex. My father brought me.
Oh, wow. Who's your father? I can see who your father is, but that's everybody. Just tell everybody who your father is. Tony?
Tony.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, don't put him in trouble, man.
All right.
Shalom, brother. I'm sorry, real quick. I know he didn't got much for words, but I just want to give a real quick testimony and thanking the saints, showing you what prayer does, because this is what I've been praying for. When I put the McGee kids on the prayer list, this is part of the reason right here. So,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you.
Shalom, sis.
Shalom. My name is Ashley, and my husband brought me today.
All right. All praises.
Hey, we gotta get the brother to speak, we gotta get the husband to speak. Hey, we can't go by about the husband speaking. Oh, yes? Oh, okay. That was my first time seeing him.
He got his wife here. All
Shalom,
praises.
family. All praise the Most High. I'm just glad she came.
Yeah, all praises. And I don't think when that significant other actually does come, I don't think they realize how much will weight off. You know, you get this truth and you want to go 100 miles per hour, and you know your significant other who you love is not totally there yet, or you know you a little bit ahead. You know you want them to go 100 miles per hour with you. So it's a weight off, to have your brother, your brother, to have your husband or your wife actually come in, and you can see them learning and actually want to be here. So all praise to the Most High.
Really breaks my heart. Cause we've been lied to, misled for years, calling out to the Most High on his trail of tears.